Hey everybody, it's Callie, and today I want to talk about something that's maybe a little bit spooky, maybe a little bit existential, but I'm curious to see if this is part of other people's OCD experience, so inquiring minds want to know. So of course, when people are talking about things that they're afraid of, there are the things that come to mind right away. The things like creepy crawly things like spiders or bugs, all the things that I love, ironically. And then there are other things that are a little bit less tangible. And then when we talk about fear in the context of OCD, I think it continues to get a little bit more abstract. You'll hear people talking about what they're afraid of with their OCD. So it might be, I'm afraid of what I'm capable of. I'm afraid that I'm a bad person. I'm afraid that I did something that is going to set off this chain reaction. I'm afraid I didn't do something. I'm afraid I'm responsible for this thing. I'm afraid XYZ. And today I want to get into what is my biggest fear. I've talked previously about how with my OCD I was afraid that I was a bad person. I was afraid that I was capable of doing something bad. I was afraid of what my intrusive thoughts meant about me. But I want to go a level deeper. So I'm going to bet that there are other people that have this fear, but they maybe don't even realize it. And for me, that fear was free will. And I know that that sounds so crazy when you really think about it that way, that I was afraid that I had free will. I was afraid that, I was able to exercise my freedoms. I was afraid that I was able to make choices. Yes, that's what I was afraid of. Because I think for me, for somebody who has harm OCD, a lot of fear comes from, I'm going to just wake up one day and choose to do something bad, or I'm going to choose to hurt this person, or I'm going to choose to do something that's not going to protect this person. So I'm going to hurt them through neglect or something. I'm going to choose the wrong thing. I'm going to let my free will dictate what's going to happen, and I'm going to make the wrong choice. And honestly, that really scared me. The thought that I would have this realization that I was this close from making any decision I could ever make. There's so many ways that I could make any decision throughout the day that would change the course of the day, change the course of the week, change the course of my life or somebody else's life. And I was hyper aware of how I could just do something like that. I could do something, whether it's something I wanted to do, whether it's something that was out of character, whether it was a mistake, whether it was something out of anger, whether it was something motivated by some other emotion or feeling or whatever it was. I was so aware of how my free will would have an impact. So when you start to look at this on an existential level, this is really devastating, and it's something that is super detrimental to how you're going to live your everyday life, because you're giving the same weight to big decisions as you are to things that are really kind of asinine and small decisions, but you're looking at them as if they're going to have some kind of butterfly effect, right? So I didn't like the idea that I could just, at the drop of a hat, make any kind of decision and that would dictate how things would play out. So of course, I saw this getting worse and worse as I was giving into my compulsions, as I was avoiding things, as I was researching things, as I was asking for reassurance for things. I was watching myself getting more and more debilitated to the point that every decision that I was making from the time that I woke up in the morning, I was worried that it was going to bring me somewhere by the end of the day that I didn't want to be at. And of course, it was at that point that I decided, okay, I really need to do something about this. This is not a life that I can live anymore. This is not sustainable. I can't live this way and feel like I'm a productive member of society, live a happy life, all this other stuff. I was like, something's gotta give and I have to do something about it. So this is where ERP, or exposure and response prevention, came in. And ERP was really instrumental in me understanding that, yes, I have those choices. Yes, I can make all those choices, but I'm accepting the risk just like I used to for anything else. Like, why suddenly one day when I woke up was I so caught up in all these choices that I had? Up until that point, I had been making thousands of choices every single day. So why was it suddenly that I couldn't do that anymore? So through my journey, and then through my journey with ERP, I learned that I am able to accept that uncertainty. I started to realize that everybody has free will. Everybody makes choices every day. Some people make good choices, some people make bad choices, and sometimes good people make bad choices or make mistakes, and that's part of being human. That's part of being an imperfect being, right? So I started to feel that weight and that awareness of every single decision I was making diminish over time. And I started to realize that nobody else is really thinking about their free will. Why am I so hung up on the fact that I am a person with free will? Why was I so hung up on that? And that was OCD. So like I said before, I feel like a lot of times I don't really hear people break it down this way. And it took me a really long time actually to realize that this was my fear. I feel like I was putting it in the context of something more tangible, something that was a little bit less existential. And I wasn't getting to the root of it, because I wasn't really realizing that that was what I was afraid of. That yes, I was afraid that I was going to do something bad, that I was a bad person, that I did something wrong, but really it was all based on my fear of making choices and my fear of my own free will. So I'd love to hear if this is something that has sparked anything for you and made you realize that, hey, maybe my OCD fears are a little bit different than I was originally framing them. And of course, if this is something that resonates with you or something that it feels like you're struggling with and you're ready to get help for that, you can do that right now through NOCD. You can find a therapist that is certified for helping people with their OCD through NOCD.com or treatmyocd.com today. Working with therapists like the ones at NOCD is something that can really help you reframe how you think about your obsessions and really help you stop doing those compulsive behaviors that are impacting your life so much. So again, you can let me know if this is something that resonates with you, and I'm gonna get going and I will see you guys next time. Bye!